Does deleting browser history and cache really delete all traces of my webmail? Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's a question I got some time ago. When I use the Chrome tools and settings for deletion of my browsing history and emptying of the cache, does that permanently delete those items, or can they be retrieved later if desired? With all the notoriety regarding legal discovery and request for production of emails and texts, is there a way to permanently delete emails and texts from a PC so that they cannot be recovered or reconstructed by a PC expert? It's a well-known fact that deleting things on your computer usually doesn't really completely destroy them. Depending on several factors, it's possible that files can be undeleted, for example. So there is definitely some risk in the scenarios that you describe. Let's look at each of them. For almost all web browsers, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, and most others, history and cache information is just stored in files on your computer. Deleting history or cache means just deleting those files. Deleting files on your computer only marks the disk space as unused, but doesn't really overwrite or destroy the data. That means that, in theory, it is possible that the information could be recovered. I don't want to make this seem easy. You can't just flip a switch and recover these files. For anyone actually trying to find and make use of them, it would take, well, to begin with, luck, in that the space previously occupied by those files hasn't been overwritten by something else. This luck decreases the longer you continue to use the computer after deleting the files. Second, data recovery software. And third, knowledge of exactly what those files were, what they are, what they contain, and how they're constructed. But theoretically, it is possible that the information in those files might be recovered. If all you do is access your email via a web browser, everything I've just mentioned applies. Your browser caches things on your hard drive. Thus, the email you've just been viewing could in fact be in the cache on your hard drive. There's no separate email storage on your PC when you're using Webmail. You mentioned only your browser, but I want to point out that email programs that are installed on your computer, like Outlook Classic, Thunderbird, EM Client, and many others, do use separate storage. Most download your email and store it in some kind of a database on your computer. What happens when you delete mail then depends exactly on how that specific database software and email program works. For example, Outlook's PST is actually a lot like a file system itself. It behaves a lot like files on disk. Emails aren't actually overwritten. They're only marked as deleted until you compact the PST or the space is reused on a subsequent email. Other email programs use files on disk more directly. Once again, the files are deleted, but to Windows that just means they're only marked as deleted and not actually overwritten. Other email programs may do other things. What I'd call hybrid email programs are even more confusing. These are programs like Outlook New, as installed on most current Windows 10 and Windows 11 computers. They look and act like an installed email program, but they're often just a wrapper to what is really just a browser-based email interface. In these cases, files may be stored locally and as well in browser caches. Really deleting things. Well, when it comes to deleted files, including things like browser caches and perhaps even history, what's required is something called a secure delete or a free space wipe. There are two general approaches, both command line based. The cipher command, which is included in Windows, and sdelete, which is part of the sysinternal suite of tools available at the Microsoft Store. I've talked about sysinternal suite before, and I do recommend installing it since it has actually many useful utilities. And of course, there are many other free space wiping tools available as well. The concept is simple. Delete a file, wipe the free space, and that file is effectively gone for good. If you're worried about NSA level of data recovery on a magnetic hard drive, you may want to overwrite the free space more than once. sdelete in particular has an option to specify how many overwrite passes to use. When it comes to email, on the other hand, there's really no general rule. Outlook's PST can be compacted to remove all that unused space that was previously occupied by the mail that you deleted. You'll want to run a free space wiper after compacting to remove fragments of the PST file that may have been left behind. Again, for other programs, there's no general answer. It really depends exactly on how the program stores its data and what it does when you delete something. There's a very important caveat for all email. Everything we've done so far is about what is and is not on your computer, be it browser or email program. Remember though, email comes to you via your email service provider. When you delete a file at that provider, you really have no control over how that email is handled. Even when you empty a trash or recycle folder online, the email provider could still potentially be able to recover those files. The simplest approach might be for them to recover from their own backups. This type of recovery is rarely, if ever, available to customers like you and me. However, should law enforcement ever have a reason, it's possible that the email provider could be forced to recover email you'd previously deleted. So, more than anything else, be mindful of what you say in email. Most of us never need to worry, as we're just not that interesting. But if you ever do become interesting, it is well worth understanding how much of your email conversations could potentially be recovered. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/13011. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.